All right, we're going to work on graphing systems of equations. What is a system of equations? It is when you have two or more equations that we're going to graph on the same coordinate graph. Our goal is going to be to solve the system of equations by graphing. Now, to solve it, what we're looking for is that one point where they intersect each other. To be able to do this, our equations, or to be able to graph them, our equations need to be in slope-intercept form. There are other ways, but this seems to be the easiest way and most consistent way to get our graphs. Y equals mx plus b. So when I look at y equals 3x minus 2, the first question I need to ask myself is, what is b? That's the first thing. B is negative 2. What does that mean? B is your y-intercept. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the y-axis and we're going to graph negative 2 on the y-axis. So that is right about here. Next, I need to ask myself, what is the slope? The slope is going to tell me where I go from here. Well, the slope is m, which is the number being multiplied by x. So my slope is 3. So I'm going to put a 3 here. Now, slope is rise over run, which is a fraction. So I need to look at 3 as a fraction, 3 over 1. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Let's do it again. Up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And I'm going to take, there it is, my handy dandy ruler, because I don't draw straight lines very well. And I'm going to try to connect the dots as best I can. And there we go. I've drawn the first graph. Now I need to graph the second equation, which is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5. First question, what is b? B is 5. So that means I'm going to draw a dot at 5 on the y-axis. Wait a minute, which one's the y-axis? I forgot to write it. So let's do that here. Oh, I'll use green. Here's the y-axis. Here's the x-axis. All right, now, 5 on the y-axis means I'm going to start at 0 and count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a dot. My slope is my next piece of information that I need. And you can see the slope is a negative 1/2. Now, negative 1/2, the negative sign goes to only one of the numbers. So it's either a negative 1 over 2 or a 1 over a negative 2. It's semantics. It's basically the difference is which direction you're going to go in. Let me show you what I mean. Ooh, might be tough to do with this 5 up here. If I try negative 1 over 2, I'm going to go down 1 and count over 2. Down 1 and over 2. This means I could go up 1 and to the left 2. Up 1 and to the left 2. And it would be somewhere over there. Again, I take my ruler, connect the dots, best I can, and I have my second line. Now, the question is, am I done? And the answer is no. Remember the directions were solve the system of equations by graphing. Well, I graphed, but I haven't solved yet. I don't have my answer. My answer, I'll use green, is what I'm going to put right here. The answer is that point of intersection, where they cross. Well, where is that point? Well, a point has parentheses and has an x and a y. X, comma, y. X, from 0, 0, I go 2 along the x, and up 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my answer. My answer is the point 2, comma, 4. You'll notice with all of these, your answer is a point. So let's try another one, real fast. Example 2. Again, I need y equals mx plus b. That's what I got to keep in my mind. The first one is in that form, which is great. Y equals x minus 2. So, first question, what is b? B is negative 2. What is m? M is the number being multiplied by x. There's nothing there, so it's an understood 1. So m is 1, or 1 over 1. So let's plot a point at -2 on the y-axis. -2 is right there. The slope is 1 over 1. So I'm going to count up 1 over 1 and draw a dot. Up 1 over 1 and draw a dot. Up 1 over 1 and draw a dot. And then I'm going to graph my line. Please make sure to extend your line as much as you can, because remember, we're looking for where these two equations or lines intersect. So if we don't have them connected, we sometimes have to just extend it a little further so we can find that point of intersection. All right, the second equation has a problem. It is not in y equals mx plus b form. This is standard form, not slope-intercept form. So I'm going to have to do a little work to rearrange some things and get it in the right form. The first thing I'm going to have to do is move this x and get it over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Now, when I do that, I have an x minus 2y minus x. The x's will cancel. Be very careful. I am left with a negative 2y. On this side, many of you want to write 4x. It is not multiplication, which a 4 times an x would give me 4x. This is a 4 minus x. You could write 4 minus x. The problem is the appropriate form has the x and then the number. It would be most appropriate to write negative x plus 4. Now, I'm not done yet because I don't have y equals. I have negative 2y. I need to divide both sides by negative 2. When I divide this side by negative 2, they'll cancel out. When I divide this whole side by negative 2, what kind of happens is the negative 2 distributes to both. So they both get divided individually by negative 2. What do I have left? Y equals negative over negative is a positive. I am not left with 2x. The 2 is on the bottom of the fraction. So think of it as a 1x over 2, or in other words, a 1/2 x. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. All right, let's graph it. My b, I'll just put it over here. b is negative 2, right there. So I'm going to go to negative 2 and plot a point. I already see an intersection, but let's draw the graph. The slope is 1/2. So I'm going to go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. I could go, negative 1 over negative 2, because a negative divided by a negative is the same thing as a positive. What does that mean with my graph? It means I could go down 1 and to the left 2, because a negative 2 is to the left. And when I connect these dots, I put arrows on the ends, and I see that here's my point of intersection. So let me get my green one out so I can write my answer. My answer is the point, how do we write this? Remember, a point is x comma y. To get to that point, how far do I move along the x-axis? I don't. I don't move left and I don't move right. I move 0. Now, how far do I move along the y? Negative 2. And there's my answer. One more, real fast. Well, I said this one would be fast. Let's hope this one's a little faster. This one has a trick. That blue one's a little bit of a trick. So I want to go ahead and make sure we remember how to do this. X equals 5. There's something missing from that. There's no y. So I can't write this in slope-intercept form. It only has that form. How do I graph x equals 5? Well, I'm going to put a dot at 5 on the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you remember, we talked about this in class. X equals 5 is either going to be a vertical or a horizontal line. Now, x equals reminds you of the x-axis. But if you recall, it's backwards. The equation x equals is not the same as the x-axis. So if the x-axis is horizontal, the line x equals is the opposite. It's vertical. So I need a vertical line going through this point. And there we go. Now, second equation. I need to solve for y. I need to put it into y equals mx plus b format. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. These cancel, and I'm left with 5y equals, and these cannot combine. This is a 20 and a 4x. You cannot put them together. So the best I can do is write it negative 4x, and that's a positive 20, so I write plus 20. Now I have to divide by 5. And I get y equals negative 4/5 x plus 4. Let's graph it. 4 is my b. My slope is negative 4/5. 4 is my b, or my y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4. My slope is down 4/5. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, looky there. I could do this again. I'll go a little bit off. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 5 would probably be about here-ish. I could go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 5. Might be over there somewhat. Let's connect the dots. I don't really have to extend this anymore because I've got my answer. I'm looking for the point where they intersect. So, what is that point? Well, x comma y. Starting at 0, 0, how far do I move along the x? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How far do I move up or down? I don't need to move at all. I'm right there. 5, 0. There's my answer. Okay, so you practice these, and hopefully you'll understand what you need to do. But if you don't, ask questions in class. All right, thank you.